Hi everybody, my name is Ross, and I am going to show you my process for creating fantasy land masses. So to start out, you are going to want some sort of GIS software, and so here I have an open source one. QGIS is called. It's free. It's pretty robust, and you can get it obviously on Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you want. So it's great and it does some good stuff. Otherwise, you can use ArcGIS, or I've heard of some other ones, but this one's free and you can do what this tutorial will tell you to do. I'm also including a Google Drive link to this folder where you can get the same file I'm working with if you want to see exactly. And then you'll also need an image processing like Photoshop or GIMP. I'm going to be using Photoshop because I don't have GIMP or really know how to use it, and I'm also kind of a Photoshop noob too. So, but you'll need those things. So yeah, before you get started. But otherwise, if you want to get the data we're going to be using, you can go to this website, which I'll include a link. This is just USGS elevation data, and so I think we're using something around here in Colorado. So you can find products in within the map extent, and it'll return with something, and you can look at all the results, and then you can choose a different digital elevation model that you find would better suit your needs or something. If you know some real world topography that you'd kind of like to reference your world after, then this is what it's for. This is only US, but there are other portals too, and just feel free to reach out to me if you need some links. But yeah, so I just picked one from around here and downloaded it, and now I'm going to open it in my GIS software. And so this is QGIS interface, and I've come over here where it says add raster layer on the left. It looks like a little checkerboard thing, and here is where I downloaded it. Here's my folder. I'm going to go into this folder and click this ADF file, this DBLBND ADF. And it's different in ArcGIS too. So here we go. We've got our digital elevation model, and the light areas are high elevation and the dark areas are low elevation, and gray is anywhere in between. So, just loading. Cool. So we're going to use this real world data to create fantasy landmass. And so how we're going to do it is by just changing the style here. So from color gradient black to white, we don't want a single band gray, we want single band pseudo color. So what I did is I double click on the layer in this panel over here, and I'll go to the style tab right here and click render under render type, single band pseudo color. And just for intuitive purposes, I'm going to pick this green to blue one. But I gotta click on and off. So there we go. So now it's going to classify all the elevation data into these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes. And so in between these ranges, 129 to 340, it's going to give me this lighter color. So if I click apply, you can see it's, oh, actually this one's stretched, never mind. So that's what we'll want eventually. So now I've just changed the color scheme. I'm actually going to invert it because I want the light green to be the land and the blue to be water. So the lower elevations will turn into your water. And so instead of linear, we're going to do discrete, and that's what's going to give us our classes. Like this. So yeah, we'll explore this a little bit. So I zoom in here, I say this island looks pretty cool, and I want this to turn into a landmass. You can just look and see what looks cool and what you think would be a cool landmass. This one would be pretty dope too. And if you don't see anything, you can also change these bounds too, these ranges. Instead of 551, let's say I just want 500, and then that'll change my map here slightly. 600. So now I'm going to take, this has everything greater than 805 as this landmass. So we want everything from this green up. I want to be a landmass for my world. So I like this green here. So I'm going to take this hex code, double clicking on the color here to find that, and then double click on the other ones that I want to change to that same one. So the lower one and the higher one, we'll apply those. So now I've got this landmass looking thing with some islands out here, so which is a nice added bonus. And essentially what we're doing is basically just flooding the real world to get these shapes that we want. So yeah, this is what I want as my landmass. And I can zoom out a little bit. And so there's surrounding landmasses too, if I want to include anything like that. But I'm really just focused on this one right here. So I'm going to, if I'm happy with how it is, you can also play around with the ranges like I said before. But if I'm happy with how this is, I'm going to say project. I'm going to save as. I'm going to go to my folder, which is in maps and in map tutorial. I'm going to save this as tutorial. And I'm going to, oh, whoops, well, I guess I'm going to save the file first. Look at me. Look at me. Save as image is what we want to do once we want to export it, essentially. So you can save, yeah, just save your file, of course. We'll go to documents, go to maps, navigate to the folder, tutorial. So I'm going to save it as a PNG. And this is an additional step. So if you just want the shape of your land, you just want a landmass that you can customize and get realistic coastlines, then you can continue on and skip this next step here. But what I'm going to do here is add realistic hill shading. So and how we can do that is by clicking on the layer again. So this is our raster layer. Click on that and go to Style tab, and instead of single band pseudo color, go to hill shade. And what we need to do though is set everything right. So in hill shades, your light source should always be coming from the northwest, and typically at a 45-degree altitude is where the sun source would be coming from. So yeah, let's adjust this azimuth to 315 and the altitude to 45, and the Z factor is something we'll also have to do. If I leave it at 1, we're gonna get this weird, really dark looking hill shade, which isn't optimal. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go just Google setting Z parameter correctly. I'm gonna click this first one, this ArcGIS blog. And so if I know the latitude of where this is, and this is around 35, this is in Colorado, so this is like 35 degrees north latitude. So I'm just gonna go with 40 and copy this because my units are in meters. So if I do this, put this instead of that, then I'll get the more realistic hill shade. And what you can do is if this is not what you are wanting out of your hill shade, you can exaggerate it too. So I can put this ×2, put some Boolean math in there, and it'll recognize it and change it. And now it's a little bit deeper. Typically, you might want to keep your hill shades a little bit less. So you know, I can do ×0.5 if I want to die down the original one, and just really subtle. So I'm okay with this, and without having changed the viewpoint here, like the current extent will still be the same. So as long as you've done that, that's what you want to keep in mind, especially if you're lining up these two things. Then I'm going to do tutorial hill shade, and if I don't think I changed the extent, but we'll find out, because that way when you add them into Photoshop or your image manipulation software, they will line up very well. So now I'm going to go and open, going to navigate to the map tutorial folder, and here we've got tutorial. So here you have it, pretty much. And then everything else, you know, afterwards you can just, you know, is personal preference. But this is how I like to make mine. So let's also open the hillshade, and let's see how, I think they lined up well. Yeah. So I can go here and, you know, zoom in on my coastlines. If I think my coastlines are a little bit too jagged, you can do a filter, and you can do noise, and you can do median, and, you know, play around, see what you like. I like some detail in the coastlines, but sometimes it can be a bit much. You know, so I'm not going to mess around with it right now, but that's something you can do. And anything else here is just for you. So if you want to make a hillshade overlay on this, I'm going to Control-All, copy everything in the hillshade, make a new layer, Control-V, and so now my hillshade should be directly over this. And the nice thing is it also gives you bathymetry, basically, because it's the real world elevation. But you can just turn this all to blue and make your own stuff. So if you don't want to create your own hillshade or your own elevation data, then you can use, or you don't want to create your own elevation data for the world you've made, you can use the existing one from the world. So what I'm going to do, right now these are both set on normal, I'm going to set the hillshade to linear burn, and we've kind of got that right there. And now we can see the hillshade over it. And you can mess with your own personal settings here, and also you can create like a mask to make sure it only shows the land if you want. But yeah, that's a little bit more photo manipulation, and I look like a fool trying to do it on the fly here because it takes me a little bit. But essentially that's my process for creating these realistic looking continents. So if you have any questions, I'm going to put all the links below to both QGIS and this DEM finder. That way you can get your own data if you want, if there's a real world place you want to mimic your world after, or the topography after. And I'll also put this link to this Z parameter if you're interested in the hillshades. So yeah, that's basically it. That's my process for creating continents. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to, subscribe to my Twitch or follow me on Twitch. I do video game maps. I talk about the design of video game maps, and sometimes I do things like these on Twitch as well, just map building things. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have a good day.